This is episode 31 of Post Production Podcast. Hello and welcome, all you amazing people out there, to the Post Production Podcast. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the latest in movies, TVs, and trailers. I'm your host, Mr. Drew, and here with me, of course, is my co-host, Adam.
Yes, I'm back. How are you, Drew?
I am fantastic.
Very good. What are we talking about today?
It's a slow week with movies. We've got Deadpool 2 coming out next week. We've got Solo the week after that.
But right now, we're kind of in a slump.
Yeah, we're in the slump. We're avoiding, I think, the giant kind of scramble for people trying to get their clickbait. Marvel's, Avengers, Infinity War
people can't
theories.
Stop, yeah, people really can't stop talking about Avengers. It's kind of hilarious, but no, we decided to go in a different direction this week. So what we're going to talk about is basically, when we have these kind of slumps in between, big movies, what are those TV shows or even movies that we binge to kind of pass the time.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your first one? A show or movie series that you binge over and over?
Well, it just struck me because this week actually I have gone back and watched a couple of for me favorites. I rewatched Riddick and the Chronicles of Riddick and
Pitch Black.
And Pitch Black. Those are some. I mean, those things some of those movies trigger people. Everyone says, "Oh, they should have just left with Pitch Black and not gone any farther." But for me, I really enjoy the whole Riddick universe.
Yeah,
it's just a fun, exciting movie for me to watch.
I don't know much about the Riddick universe. I remember being a kid and seeing my dad watch Pitch Black on TV, and I've never gone back and seen them, but They're almost like, would you say like they're kind of cult classics?
I think they're definitely. Pitch Black is the cult classic. Because the first time I saw it, we rented it.
Okay.
So obviously there wasn't a big kind of commotion around it for it going to the theater. But I think that's where a lot of people got it. It was like one of those B movies, like, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? Oh, let's just go pick up a couple Blockbusters movies and just
back in the day.
Back in the day, right? You'd go down to the rental store and you'd like peruse the shelves and
I remember those days.
Very good. If you screwed your timing up, you got there too late. There's nothing left, right? It's just the cover boxes. Yeah. There's no tapes underneath,
Yeah, no.
But I rewatched those. I'm actually kind of prepping myself for the Mission Impossible movie that's coming out this summer. I'm rewatching the Mission Impossible ones, which are fun to kind of go back and see this progression of technology and how it's transcended all the way up to the new one. So it's an interesting thing.
It's a 20-year franchise, over 20 years.
Yeah.
I need to go back because I remember parts of some of the movies, but I don't remember the movies themselves. So I'm torn because I'm like, should I even bother? Do I want to get into another franchise and like,
I don't have a choice. I grew up watching James Bond.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at the Mission Impossibles as like in between Bond films.
Okay.
Because it's
a different breed.
It's a spy movie.
Yeah.
There's gadgets involved. There's all kinds of things involved. There's some sneaky stuff. I think with the Mission Impossible that there's a different theme because there's a mission and there's an impossible way to go about it.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. But for me, that's how I kind of correlate. Yeah. To those kind of films because they're just fun for me because I've grown up watching the Bond films.
Yeah. I guess that would be like for me like something like Harry Potter or something like that where these movies I kind of grew up with and it's always kind of a joy to kind of go back and rewatch them because it brings you back to that time when you first saw it. So yeah, that sense of nostalgia is always good to go back to. For me, right now, at least like these past 2 weeks, I've just been, other than the shows that we're watching that are coming out week to week, I started this show called Broad City on, well, it's a Comedy Central show. It's been out for a few years, but I just watched all 4 seasons on Hulu in the last 2 weeks, and
that's a good bit. Well, how many episodes are there per season?
10.
So okay, so that's not too bad. That's not
yeah,
too bad.
I mean, they're 20-something minute episodes.
Oh, that's even easier. Oh,
well, see, I don't know. I mean,
I was going.
I would say a week and a half.
40-hour chunk.
I would say.
Now I just got knocked down to 20.
No, I would
which
say.
Which actually is not even a 20-hour chunk. It's wait.
Oh.
Wait, 40 times 20. That's 800 minutes divided by 60. Wait.
Okay, just
I'm
stop.
struggling.
Just stop there.
18 hours.
Just stop. Anyway. No, for like a week and a half, kind of, and balancing the other shows that we're watching.
Yeah, no,
and work and all this. Come on. It's not like I'm just
on,
sitting in a dark room. It's like, come on. Anyway. So Broad City, no, it's basically just like your fun kind of, and that's also something is like these shows that we're watching, Handmaid's Tale, Westworld, Legion. It's not a lot of like fun, like adventure and like comedy. So I needed like an outlet to kind of go into. And yeah, Broad City was perfect. I mean, my friend's been trying to get me to watch this for a little bit. And no, I'm glad I picked it up because it is so funny. It's so charming. Like, there's a lot of subtle comedy, but a lot of it is just like outrageous. And of course, it's another sitcom that's based in New York. And, New York is the epicenter of just wacky and crazy characters, right? So they really...
Well, is there a kind of a theme, or is it sort of like a Seinfeld where it's a show about literally nothing?
Well, what's funny is like some people have kind of compared it to a Seinfeld because I've heard that, people say that exact thing about Seinfeld. It's basically a show about nothing. But, there's a charm to that,
Right.
Because it's everyday people doing everyday things, and that's the humor in it and why it's so relatable. So these characters, Abby and Alana, they're so relatable in so many ways because they're not perfect and they screw up. And when they screw up so badly, and it's just hilarious. And well, it's really fun to see like two best friends like go through hell together and just come out and they're still laughing.
Right.
Like that's why it's such a good show to me. And now I think they are doing their final season. I don't know when it's coming out or if it's even coming out soon, but I heard that the 5th season will be the last season. So that'll be sad, but yeah, I can't recommend Broad City enough. It is so good. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
What else are you watching?
Let's see. Well, I just got into Ugly Delicious, which is a Netflix show. I'm a huge foodie. I love food. I love eating food. But Ugly Delicious basically follows Dave Chang, this kind of famous chef. And he goes and he basically talks about these foods that are kind of everyday, casual, or they're not seen as like pristine or high class foods, and puts them on the kind of the global stage and how different people kind of interact with this food, what it means to different cultures, how different cultures kind of put their spin on it, and how it kind of evolves through time. And I really like the perspectives that he kind of brings to the table. I think it's like 8 or 10 episodes.
Yeah, I'm 6 episodes in because you turned me on to it, and I'm enjoying it completely.
Yeah, it's really great, and there's a few like guest appearances, celebrity appearances, and I just really like the kind of insight that he has about food and about these foods that you wouldn't really think too much about.
Pizza, tacos,
fried chicken,
tacos,
fried
home
chicken.
Cooking, yeah.
The fried chicken one is probably one of my favorites.
Well, the nice thing, what I really kind of liked about it was the charm of it, because food is becoming, it's transitioning into something that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
People are Instagramming constantly food and what they're doing and where they're eating. So there's so much of a spotlight on food now.
Yeah.
But you know, it's sort of the same thing. You know, you can have all these high class, high, you know, price, you know, fusion and whatever kind of restaurants, and you have your traditional French cooking and your Italian cooking, and yes, all that is fantastic stuff, and people are doing these amazing things with these concoctions and foams and dry ice things with, you know, with smoke and you know, and just going way off and beyond and creating these dishes. But the funny thing is that yes, that's fine to do and go out and have that experience once every 3 or 4 months or once a year. You know, for some people, like I think in our boat where I can't afford to go out and pay $400 for a meal on a nightly thing. But what do we eat on a daily basis?
Exactly.
You know, tacos, pizza, fried chicken. And a lot of these things have transcended just as much as some of these other high class kind of, you know, food items. And he takes a great look at not only the history and kind of where a lot of these foods have been adapted all over the world. You know, and we're not just talking about American cooking. You know, and that's what I like about the show.
I really enjoyed the last episode, which is called Stuffed, and he looks at different cultures, and he goes to, you know, there's kind of this, it's set up in kind of a debate fashion, whereas there's on one side, like, Italians with their stuffed raviolis and stuff like that, and then you have, like, on the Asian side, like, dumplings, and how they're different, but they're also very much the same. That's just very interesting to kind of talk about and see what people have to say about it, so... that's a really good show. I would recommend that. And then another show that's kind of related is Chef's Table. They just released a new kind of season. Usually Chef's Table is about, you know, a chef in one of those fine dining restaurants with, you know, the crazy foams or whatever, and their kind of story of coming up. But this one is called Pastry, and there's, I think, only 4 episodes. So it's pretty brief. So they highlight different pastry chefs. And the first one is amazing. It's about Milk Bar, who started off in New York. They have one here in Las Vegas too. And now I just want to go and try it. But no, Chef's Table is a really underrated show, I think. I don't think people talk about it enough. But just the cinematography, the way they tell these real life chefs like stories, it's really fascinating, and I think people should really give it a shot. So
I agree with that, because I look at these kind of cooking shows, and there's 3 categories that I kind of look at them. You've got your reality TV stuff,
like your contests,
you know, your contests, and your Hell's Kitchen and Chopped, and all these goofy things, and
shows.
There's so many out there. They're just really kind of, you know, just the same thing regurgitated. Although my all-time favorite food show ever is the Great British Baking Show.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
Which we've talked about. And then, you know, you've got your kind of instructional shows. Where it's
your Rachel Ray's.
Your Rachel Ray's and your Pioneer Woman, I think. I mean, they're all, you know, where they just sit down. And then you've got the really, really true, and I'm just going to say true shows, because these are the ones like Chef Table and, you know, Ugly Delicious, where you have somebody that delves into the culture and the history and, you know, the background of not only some of these chefs and their struggles, but the foods and what they're portraying.
Anything else? I mean, for you, like, are there any shows that you kind of go back to every once in a while?
Well, if I'm feeling bored, or I'm just kind of trying to goof around, I mean, I will binge Archer from FFX, FX2 or whatever it is.
Something.
I'll binge that all day long. That is one of my all-time favorite.
I've never watched
comedy
that show,
shows.
but I feel like that's specifically like right up your alley.
Well, yeah, it's my mind in a nutshell, you know, animated. A lot of people they don't connect to the show at all, and then there's the other wackos out there like myself that are just like, yes, more please.
Well, how many seasons are there?
Season 9 just started.
Yeah, so it's I mean, the fact that it's still going on, I mean, that's pretty good.
I mean, I binge Game of Thrones every time the new season is about to start, just to kind of, rinse and repeat and just kind of bring myself back up to par to kind of get into that mindset. Especially now because, I read the books, so those first couple of seasons, I think 4 seasons, you sort of knew what was going on, even though they did a lot of adaptation. But these last couple seasons are off the, they're brand new. All the content's new. So, getting back into, understanding where all these characters are going, because you don't have that extra reference of reading the books.
Yeah.
So that's a solid for me. One of the shows that I've been watching, which is a new show this year, is called SEAL Team. And the head guy on that is David Boreanaz, who's he's been around for a while, starting with Angel and then transitioning on to Bones, and Bones went on for a good long while. And I really enjoy SEAL Team. I mean, even though it's a current day action SEAL Team show, it really highlights the trials and the kind of the complications where a lot of these servicemen run into with their families, with just life outside of, what they're doing, and the toll it takes on them mentally and just emotionally, pretty much being on call 24/7 with any emergency that happens. So it's I was kind of hesitant going into the show in the beginning. I was like, oh, look, it's another like combat army show. And I was like, this is actually a pretty good show. Yeah. So I highly recommend that.
What network is that?
It's like, I was trying to
NBC
look it up
or
on
CBS or something?
IMDb, and I think I'm just an idiot that can't. CBS.
Okay, CBS. Okay.
I didn't notice the giant CBS on the.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I'm looking at it right here.
Thing. Yeah.
It was interesting this week because there were quite a few shows that got the boot. If you heard about that, Fox was it seemed like they were kind of cleaning house.
Mm-hmm.
A few shows got canceled, like The Last Man on Earth got canceled. The big one that a lot of people were kind of crying over was Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Andy Samberg show.
I was surprised it made it past season 1.
Really? It's fun. I mean, I feel like because I'm on Twitter and people are really like they were distraught when they heard that Brooklyn Nine-Nine was canceled. But the good thing out of it, took a couple days, but NBC picked it up from Fox, so there will be another season.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty cool that NBC kind of saved it. But yeah, it was kind of an emotional weekend for Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans. So I'm happy for you guys. You guys are getting a new season. But I've seen different clips from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and like it's pretty funny. Maybe that's my next binge, but we'll see. Anything else?
You know what? The last thing I got to plug is there's a brand new show that has come out on BBC. It's called Killing Eve.
Oh yeah.
It was picked up for a second season before it even aired. Yeah. The reactions.
And you've been talking about it for the last few weeks. So
it's an amazing show.
What's it about?
Sandra Oh is the headliner on it.
Okay.
She plays a British inspector, and she gets sort of picked up into investigating and tracking down this mystery female assassin that has been working all over Europe. Mm-hmm. Jodie Comer plays the assassin, and I in all of my experience with TV and movies and shows and just everything that I've seen, I have never seen a female assassin played in this way, with the psychopathic behavior that she shows and the comedic value that she brings and the sheer lack of emotion that she shows. She is fantastic in this role. And Sandra Oh is phenomenal in this. It is such a good show. I watched the first one. I was hooked. 5 have come out, and I couldn't watch them. I'm actually pissed.
Why?
Because I want to watch all of them now. I do not want to wait another week. I am just chomping at the bit.
Yeah, so in this like kind of climate of binge TV, I mean, we're doing a whole episode on it right now. Like, you know, binging is such a important part of how we watch TV now that it's so frustrating when we have to go back and watch shows week to week. Like, because I feel like Hulu, you know, they have the power to do what a Netflix does, which is just drop the whole season at once. But they decide to do it week to week because it kind of builds that suspense and that mystery. Same thing with Westworld, like.
But that's not why they do it.
Well, no,
they do it
why.
because they need you to spend money.
Well, yeah,
for the subscription.
No, yeah, that's true. But I mean, a different perspective. I mean, I think there is at least a little bit of merit in that kind of conversation.
Yeah, maybe like 5% merit and 95% advertising money.
Yeah, it's all everything is business oriented. Yeah. You know, everything's about making money, but
because HBO knows, like if HBO dropped the entire season of Game of Thrones or the entire season of Westworld at once, people would subscribe, watch it for the weekend, and then immediately unsubscribe.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know,
yeah. People do that anyway.
They do it anyways, but I mean, at least they're sucking a couple of months of subscription out of them at least. You know,
exactly
with these shows that are at least 10 episodes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it for this week. We're gonna continue to binge until Deadpool comes out this week. I think I'm seeing it on Thursday.
I'm going Sunday.
Okay.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah. The first one, I think I'm gonna go back and watch the first one. Because I haven't seen it since it came out. I think I've only seen it once.
Oh, I've seen it like 5 times.
Wow. I think I've only seen it once, but I really enjoyed it. So
it's a good movie to just kind of put in and enjoy.
Yeah.
Who are you excited to see most? Are you excited to see Deadpool? Or are you excited to see Cable? I'm actually really excited to see Domino.
No, I was about to say Domino
because her luck kind of
Zazie
superpower.
Beetz. Yeah, I love her from Atlanta. She's so good in that, and to see her in this role, I think it's gonna be really interesting. So I'm excited for her. But I mean, Deadpool, of course, he's the star of the show. So Cable's gonna be interesting to see because he's basically the bad guy, but we don't know if he's gonna be the bad guy throughout the whole thing or if there's gonna be someone who emerges. So
I think it's gonna shift.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Brolin. I mean, he knocked it out of the park with Thanos.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've seen of Cable, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, he looks great.
I almost think he might just steal it away.
Yeah.
You know, but we'll see.
I think it'll definitely be a hit. Definitely make its money. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know some of your bingeable kind of TV shows that you like to watch. Maybe we can kind of get into some new stuff. And we will see you next week with our Deadpool review. See you guys next time.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Thank you all so much for listening to Post Production Podcast. If you'd like to reach the show, you can email us any questions or comments at postproductionpod@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. All those links are in the description below.
And if you like this podcast, hit that subscribe button and let us know by leaving a rating and review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. See you guys next time.